Child abuse never happens in our town. It never happens in our neighborhood. It never happens to anyone we know. That may be what the people of Habersham County think. I mean, how could it be? Just take a look. Beautiful rolling pastures, new homes in safe neighborhoods, modern schools, small town squares where most people know each other. Habersham County is the best of America, but it's also no different. Last year, there were over 400,000 substantiated cases of child abuse in the United States. There were over 15,000 cases in Georgia, and there were nearly 500 cases in Habersham County. These numbers are the substantiated cases. There are estimates of 3 times that many unreported cases.
Abuse is a vicious cycle, just like poverty. Children are being abused every day.
Shirley Meeks is a retired educator, former teacher, and principal. For years, she has worked with Prevent Child Abuse Habersham. She says many folks think child abuse only affects the poor, criminals, or immigrants, and everyone tends to slough it off.
It is serious, much more than people know, I believe. But I think that attitude causes people to tend to not want to be involved. Number one, they don't know what to do. Number two, they don't understand how rampant it is. And number three, they just think it's somebody else's problem.
Holly McShane knows this story all too well. She is an elementary school counselor, and as much as anything, Holly listens. She looks for signs of abuse, whether it is neglect, verbal, physical, or sexual, because kids don't often come right out and say what's going on. Holly sees the clues in their words, their eyes, and often in a most unlikely place, their artwork. She remembers asking a young boy to draw an image of his family and include himself in the picture.
When a child is finished with their artwork, the first thing I ask him to do is to explain it to me. And he pointed out that the brown figure was his mother's boyfriend. And I said, but who is this person in the middle? He said that was what he thought he looked like, and that's how he felt. And when I asked what was going on with the blood running from the eyes, he says, well, that's because I cry all the time.
And another child, another drawing that speaks for itself.
I had always suspected that there were other things based on his behavior, but I didn't have any concrete evidence, so to speak, to work with. And when I questioned him, he still would not articulate the right legal words to make the moves that I wanted to make to protect him about what was happening and who was hurting him. But it was just that this is how my body feels, it hurts all the time. But shortly after that, the mother moved them to another county, and I don't know if he's ever gotten any healing, and I don't know what kind of person he's going to grow up to be. And there's so many children out there like him. They just come and go.
In 1992, a number of Habersham citizens came together and said something had to be done. It was the beginning of Prevent Child Abuse Habersham. The organization began to grow and succeed under the leadership of Janice Stapleton, who secured their first state grant. She knew, and the leaders today know, that to make a difference, they have to break the cycle of abuse that repeats itself generation to generation. It begins here at the Habersham Medical Center.
Here's a little quiz for testing yourself for postpartum depression.
Volunteer Kathy Swick is meeting with 20-year-old Candy Dill, who just had her first child, Cooper. Every single new parent, like Candy, is introduced to the First Steps program while they are in the hospital. Prevent Child Abuse Habersham volunteers offer parent education, provide links to community resources, and offer intensive long-term phone support for any parent who wants it. Many new parents don't know what to expect and often lose their patience with a new child when they get home and they're on their own. It can be the seeds of child abuse, but most times it can be prevented with education.
Cómetelo, ponlo en tu boca. Put it in your mouth. Yes, very cute.
Some new parents volunteer for an in-home education program called Parents as Teachers. Trained staff professionals meet in the home with the new parent and their child during the early development years, usually from birth to age 5.
So the next time I come back, I want to see how much she can take out and how much she can put in.
Christina Davis has spent her entire career teaching young adults how to be better parents, how to understand the development of their child, and how to be patient.
If the mother can feel confident in herself that I can do this, a lot of, especially these young mothers, they panic. And it only takes a moment to abuse your child, shaking them because you want them to be quiet. That's child abuse, and that affects the brain. And what we do, what I've done, the very first time that I visit with them, we have a video that talks about shaken baby syndrome. And they just kind of look stunned. They didn't realize that it actually affects the brain. It can affect their for life. I will be back to see you. See you later.
She's there for these families, and they know that, and they trust her. We can't really begin to make a difference till we have built that relationship with our families, and that they trust us, and they know that we are sincerely there to help them in any way that we possibly can. And that's what Christina does on a daily basis.
We can choose to be passionate about creating safe environments.
And finally, Prevent Child Abuse Habersham educates the community with their Stewards of Children program. Here, average citizens learn what they can do, what to look for, what to do if you suspect child abuse, and how to get over the fear of stepping forward.
Because the worst thing that we can do is just to not be in the right moment for that child. We have to step out of that situation, and our emotions need to all be about what can I do to help this child.
People need to feel empowered. They don't know what to do. They're worried they'll do the wrong thing. They're worried they'll get involved and get in trouble or overstep their bounds. None of that matters. This program will help them understand that more clearly than anything I've ever seen before.
If you need help or know someone who does, or want to help, either way, please contact Prevent Child Abuse Habersham.